Welcome to Real Life Women, for women, by women. Our mission is to impact and enrich lives by discussing anything that relates to our happiness, our health, and our wealth. Please take a moment to share, like, and subscribe to our channel so that we can spread the message of hope and perseverance and enrich lives together. Thanks for listening. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Dr. Kristin here with Real Life Women, and today we have the Miss Kelly O'Hearn. Did I say that right?
That's perfect.
Sweet.
That's me, Kelly O'Hearn.
Kelly O'Hearn. So I'm going to give you a little backstory here. Kelly and I met via my career in the chiropractic profession. She came in, I think, for something very interesting. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of chiropractors know how to work on. What was that? Do you remember?
Was it my hiatal hernia?
It was. And then over time, I got to meet her beautiful, amazing, almost all grown up-ish sons. Mm-hmm. Time has flown. I feel like I can't believe how long I've known you now. So we just kind of hit it off. I don't know. She's amazing. And she just is like light in a human body walking around. And, you know, just like in any profession, that when it's like doctor-patient stuff, people come and go and come and go. And she was in one day and she was going through some stuff. You know, we all go through our stuff. I want to cuss so bad on that one. But
wouldn't bother me.
In the middle of what I like to call life's chapters, sometimes a chapter ends and another begins. And sometimes a book ends, another book begins in our life, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would word this. I'm just wording it just from my viewpoint. But she decided to go down a dream, a passion, an intuition, a different part of life than I believe that you just weren't in before. So I'd really love, I know. So what you're doing now is just magical, enlightening, passion driven. I mean, it's just all the things that I just so gravitate towards. So if you want to give us a little backstory on, I think what you told me was you were younger when you thought you may have some of these gifts, and then how that just unfolded to where we are today in like 2022.
Yeah. That way, it sounds so much more interesting than I ever gave it credit for.
It's awesome.
So I was born and raised in the New York City, Long Island area, but by very business oriented families, ethos, that kind of structure, that kind of expectation. But in my 20s, I got into the wine business. And in that time, after college, I really started to open up to the idea of the soul and this kind of energetic spiritual journey, just because I found New York a very lonely place at that point in my life. And you can't blame the city. I was clearly lonely.
Okay. I like that.
So I really started to dip my toe into that. And then, huge record scratch. I then decided to, screw New York. I'm moving to Aspen. And then I just got involved in my life, which then went on in a very normal, typical way, wonderful way. So fast forward to my late 40s, and I'm in the midst of massive transition, a loss of a marriage, a loss of my father, a lot of loss. So, we all have had times when our foundation just falls out from underneath us and we're free falling. That's actually the name of my LLC, is Free Fall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So here in our hometown, I walk into this store. It's crystals and beads. And I was going to buy a crystal for my home because I think they're fabulous. And that I've always thought. And in the corner of the store was a tarot card reader. And I've never done it. Don't know anything about it. And I look at the shop owner and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Can you tell me about this? And he takes me to this wall. I mean, a wall from floor to ceiling of all these tarot card decks. So many. I was like, seriously? And he's explaining it to me in the most just simple way. Like the tarot is a language, and the way the cards fall forms a narrative, which is why they're called readers. And the decks are beautiful, and it comes with a book. And I was like, wait a second, you mean to tell me I can play cards? Because I love playing cards, but I've never played with tarot cards. There's a book and I love to read. And it explains what it is to be in a human journey, basically. And I was like, I bought my first tarot deck right then and there on the spot. Never told a soul. As you well know, Kristin, for 3 years, I studied the tarot all by myself. I had a few mentors that I met along the way, and I plunged into this mystical, magical language. Instead of taking Rosetta Stone and learning French, I learned tarot. So fast forward 3 years later, and I decide to come out of the tarot closet, if you will. And I told a friend of mine, well, because I was worried about judgment. I was worried about, when you're from and live how I've lived and where I've lived, and you don't become a tarot card reader. You just don't. But I was really excited about it. So I told one friend, did a reading, and she was so amazed. And that grew into her having some parties. And finally, the moment of truth came when I told my mother, which was really intimidating for me to do. And, I'm sitting there and she's like, how are you, darling? What's new? And I'm like, oh, funny you should ask. I said, I am reading tarot cards right now, Mom. And everybody's loving it, and it's growing and growing, and word of mouth is growing. Her first words, because she's a businesswoman, is, okay, Kel, that's great. Tell me you're monetizing it. What are you getting in return for offering this? Because money is just energy. It's an exchange of energy. So that was 4 years ago. And I started a company, and I now have clients on every continent except Antarctica. I work as what you would call, in the simplest terms, an energy channeler, using the cards as my divination tool. It's something everybody can do. Just like you work a bicep, if you work your intuitive muscle through practice and consistency, you will strengthen it. I don't have any extra, I guess you could call it an extrasensory perception, but it's not a unique, unusual gift. It's actually something everybody has.
Right. Okay. So that's a common theme in this type of work. Everybody has a different way that they share it with others. Mm-hmm. When they have the courage, number one, to identify with it and learn that they do have it. But how do we feed that? It's almost as if the world pushes it back and down when we're very, very little. From what I've, been told by others, that we've all had it this whole time. It's just that we just get kind of caught up maybe in the material world or different parts of lives. Kind of shove it back down, or it's not fed, so to speak. I can't imagine where you would be if, 20 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever, like you were around people that were giving it to you then. Everything probably would have been so different. So
yeah, and I wouldn't have wanted that, because I really love my life. Right. And I love every chapter of my life, and the game, despite the pain. It was the pain that birthed this whole new chapter for me. I'm 55 years old, and I have a whole new life for myself that is expanding and growing and just becoming more amazing and magical, and it's because of that pain I had to go through and that loss, which then, I guess it's kind of, if you speak in analogies, it's like Phoenix energy, rising out of the ashes, so to speak. But it's interesting because this is, don't kid yourself. This is a business, this industry. The energy industry is a business. Yoga is its primary known global, typical application.
Interesting.
But it goes from yoga to meditation, to astrology, to numerology, to tarot, to past life regression, to there's so many applications of energy.
Right. So emotion code, which you and I have chatted about a ton.
Emotion code is an amazing opportunity for people to really tap into that for themselves. Because what happens with, we have 4 parts of self. It's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, or energetic is what I call it. We have to get our mental and emotional body out of the way a bit to tap more into that energetic opportunity, which is why meditation can be so important. But when you're carrying around a lot of emotional weight, which is what emotion code allows you to lessen and release, it makes it hard as well. So there's this lovely dance of all 4 parts that have to be in play.
Just a little side note, I do want to make sure to share that if you're watching this and not sure what it is, I will put links in the description of Emotion Code, all the links to find Kelly and all that fun stuff, because Kelly walked into my office and she's literally, I can still remember the day. She's waving this book around. She's like, "Have you heard of this book? You need to read this book. Read chapter, I keep thinking of you." And I was like, "Well, I know where your spirit is and like how intuitive you are." And I think that moment I went to my desk, I sat down and I ordered it. And I just finished it and I'm going through the process because I don't know if you know, and maybe you did. You probably did. I've been on a journey probably for 5+ years on. I knew I wanted to take my chiropractic. I've expanded it outside of just the term chiropractic over the years, over 20 years. But then I wanted to, and I've been encouraged to go down more of an energy type of practice also because of my muscle testing and all of that thing, all of that stuff. So learning more about that expands you into, learning more about energies and frequencies and how we can bury them and bury our emotions and all of those things. When you can help others with your gift, because that's how I look at it, right? There's all these different ways. There's EFT, there's EMDR. There's all these. This wasn't the only one, but this book literally resonated with me. Like every chapter. By the way, when the foreword was written by Tony Robbins, I was like, his story in itself was super, super cool. So amazing. I digress because I'm encouraged a little bit at the moment to ask you, you've been doing these readings for a while now. Hundreds and hundreds of people. I'm just assuming. I've had a few. I've been blessed to be, one of your. Maybe I was one of your first. Maybe in the first year, I was just like, when are we getting together?
I know, it was so fun.
Hello. Yeah. Is there a common thread amongst? I want to say humans. I almost said women, but maybe women or men. Like, is there a common thread that you find? Okay, what is it?
Listen, when I say it like this, you're going to totally be like, of course. Human playbook is so small. We have like 8 plays that we all play out in our own unique realities. And it all comes down to how we carry our pain, our fear, our shadow, and our light, our compassion, our love. But everyone comes to me because something's wrong, something's not right, and they can't find an answer. The gift of therapy and psychiatrists and psychologists is ridiculously powerful, but that's working through the filter of the mind. That has its own limitations and its own expiration date. When you work through the filter of your energy, it's a much more like resonant experience. You can feel in your body when something's just right or wrong. So everybody has issues around worthiness. Am I worthy of love? Am I worthy of success? Am I deserving of lack? Am I deserving of abandonment? That's all worthiness stuff. Everybody has fear of intimacy. My favorite definition of intimacy is fearless communication. Physically with our bodies through making love, mentally with being really honest and clear with our intellect, emotionally opening our heart, terrifying, and energetically trusting the universe to have your back. Intimacy is so hard, but everybody wants it. We're craving it. We feel the loss of it. So I promise you, everyone's story makes each session so unique. But at the end of the day, we're all alike. We are all striving for the same sense of resonance and alignment within ourselves. And then life can show us, meet us there.
Do you feel that there is one common thread of advice that you end up giving people after a reading, just because it leads to that?
Yeah. One of the main things, it's funny because I don't always remember what I say when I'm channeling. I know that sounds really weird, and it's kind of freaks me out sometimes too. But
does everybody see why I love this girl? I'm just saying.
But one of the things I always find myself saying is, it's important to find purpose with your pain.
Ooh.
When you can make your pain become purpose, be it a dark night of the soul for yourself, where you learn a deeper sense of self and what you don't want and what you do want. But when you make purpose out of pain, life changes. And
Very
then
interesting.
pain dissolves in a way that is so much more permanent than when we just try and shelve it or shove it in the proverbial closet and slam the door. So that's something I often find, because at the end of the day, people are coming to work with me because they want to align the life they have with the life they want. And they're a little stuck on how to get there.
Ooh, it's so freaking good.
And you know,
So,
darling, my job,
girl. Mm.
my job is to put myself out of a job.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yes.
that's my goal.
Yes.
That's like your goal, like to get me physically in such alignment that I don't need your help anymore. I'd miss you desperately, but I wouldn't need that. That's my job. When I know it's a good day when my clients don't return.
Right. Right. I mean, and then it's ironic because I do teach a lot of self-care
Mm-hmm.
and do a lot of, referring to this person and refer to that person, just to try to help that person like need me less. And I have no problem saying that. So I totally agree with you. So
Yeah.
it's going to be really fun to watch us both evolve over time. I cannot wait to do the hopefully soon. Oh my gosh, there's probably going to be multiple interviews for you because you have other things that you're into and sharing with the world. Do you want to like hint on some of those?
Sure. So before I felt confident enough to make this a business, I dipped my toe into almost every modality that energy has to offer.
Hmm.
Because like I said, I was intimidated. I was nervous. I was kind of judgy, like that's weird. It's weird. So one of the modalities that I engaged in with this amazing woman was a past life regression.
Hmm.
Whether or not you believe in past lives, that doesn't matter. But it was a very interesting experience of really, and I found it very powerful and very resonant, of why I am where I am in this life, the lessons I'm learning, the karma I'm experiencing, if you will. So I took that concept when COVID first hit, and we were all at the very beginning when we didn't really know what it was, and we were all kind of housebound. And during that time, I mean, I could still work because I've always worked through Zoom, so I still was working. But I created like a 5 or 6 set of novels or seasons of TV of content using the cards. And it's a saga of 5 souls that travel through space and time, sharing all these different lifetimes throughout human history and why they are the way they are, why they engage the way they're engaging in the 21st century.
Whoa.
It's so fun.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got everything. It's got drama, it's got war, it's got sex, it's got betrayal, it's got it all.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a perfect show besides a
yeah,
book.
yeah.
That would
No,
be
I mean,
cool.
I had intended it to be a show, but I've been encouraged to write them into novels first.
I would encourage you to be the person that does the audiobook because I think your voice, don't have anybody else read it. I think you should read it. So we can pick it up and listen to it also.
That would be cool. It might be
Oh, yeah.
better with ensemble of voices, though.
Oh,
But
then you
thank you.
probably would
That's a
have to,
compliment, and I appreciate that.
well, then you would have to hire somebody that knows how to do all those voices. But
Yeah,
that's a thing.
yeah.
That for sure is a
No,
thing.
but it's good. So my work has really kind of spread out into a lot of different unique opportunities for me. It's just been, I've done a lot of things in my life. There's, everyone always says, find your passion, do what you love. And I was always like, I don't know what that is. And there's that beautiful writer, I want to get this right. I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love, I believe.
Mm.
She once gave a TED talk. I think it was a TED talk. And she validated how I've lived my life. She said, yeah, it's fine for someone to have their passion and do what they love, but it's also okay to be a hummingbird. Like, ooh, I like that flower. That's yummy. Oh, I'm going to go to that flower. That's yummy. And that's what I've been my whole life, is kind of a hummingbird, trying to find my place and that thing that just clicks into place. Well, this has clicked into place. And now this is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done.
Well, I think also your children were smaller then, and you were pretty sure driving them everywhere for all their sports,
Oh
if
my
I
God, that was
recall.
my best
Right.
job. I loved that job. I loved
See?
raising my kids.
You were a hummingbird driving a car with teenagers there for a
Totally.
while.
Yeah. Enjoyed
So
it. Yeah.
what do the boys think of this? What are their ages and what do they think of all this?
It's really funny. They don't want a reading, which is completely fine. I so respect that. And I would never ever impose that and make them sit down and like, I'm going to give you a reading. When I first told them, they were like, oh boy, what's happening to my mother? But they trust me. And so they're like, okay, all right, you kind of like patting me on the head. You go ahead, mama. But now they see like how busy I am and how many people, and the testimonials they want to read and they ask about. But it is funny, when things get, more like heated and we're having a disagreement, they look at me and they're like, don't go all tarot on me, mom. So,
That is funny.
it's really funny.
They're
No, they love it.
adorable.
They think it's super cool. They love the flexibility it gives me. Yeah, no, they're proud. They're very proud.
Now, I'm just thinking like one day the girlfriends and the wives and how that'll all go down. I know, right?
Yeah, I've
That's
gotten
so
to the
awesome.
point now where I'm not afraid of judgment, you know.
Good. You can't like
No.
where does that
And
get
listen,
you?
I
Just
understand this is not for everybody. I mean, this is not for everybody. So I don't really, I don't mind if someone is like, oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, it's not my kind of thing, but that's interesting.
mhm.
I've never once had anyone like really look at me sideways like you've lost the plot. Yeah, never, never.
Maybe 10 years ago,
Right,
20 maybe.
completely. Yeah, totally.
So one of the things that you do that I find fascinating, and I'm not really quite sure how people come to this decision of hiring you, but you get called to like large businesses, correct? What does that look like? How does that conversation even get started?
Well, it's the way I work with companies and businesses because I have a very much of a business background. So, and when you're working, like every company, depending upon where they are in their progress, has certain issues to address. A startup has obviously a lot of growing pains, and getting the team together and having them work as a unit. Mid-level companies often have like that kind of burnout and a loss of vision and vigor and excitement for their goals. And very established companies often it's kind of like when you live in your home for so long, you just kind of stop seeing things. They just have it's just so routine that, and I can come in any one of those scenarios, and I work with these companies in a way that I work both individually with executives or with the teams, in order to really get people re-engaged energetically in what they're doing. So often in life, I don't like to use the word work because it involves struggle, toil, like exhaustion. Career, I think, is very much like goal oriented, and I like my favorite word is purpose. But in companies, most people forget their why. Why am I doing this? Why am I
Right.
there? Why do I show up every day? Why do I accept this money in return for what I'm offering? So what I really try to do that's kind of always my main intention going in, is to remind everybody of their why. A lot of people have different whys in life. But because of how I work, when I work one-on-one of them, I can then get to although I must say, it's been very impressive. Most of the companies I work with, they like to work as a group and they don't mind sharing in front of others my conversation with them directly about their specific energy and where they are. They don't get
Interesting.
embarrassed. They want the team to know. So that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that makes the reading a little bit different too.
Yeah, it is.
So
When I'm working with multiple people, it does.
as we kind of draw this to a close, not quite yet, what would one piece of advice be to all of the humans and spirits and souls that get to listen to this amazing interview and hear you talk about, this new, I guess, career passion that you're following? What is one piece of advice that you feel like that common thread could start using like today or tomorrow?
In terms of energy in their lives,
Mm.
or in terms of vision for themselves?
Do you remember when we were talking about that one common thread you found that you're seeing in that there was the worthiness and maybe self-doubt and those things. And
Right.
maybe one thing that people could, I mean, like one of the common themes that's been coming up in my life is learning more about vulnerability and what it is. So that's something that is happening in my current life, is that. So you didn't use that word, but you used words that were similar. So I
Right.
just thought maybe,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know where that question's leading, but I just feel like if we leave somebody with this, what would
Yeah.
that be? You're in an
Gratitude.
elevator.
Gratitude. Gratitude.
Oh,
It's the simplest, and God bless Oprah for making it an everyday word. I'm not kidding. It's the simplest way to get out of a bad mood, to remember, like to get out of a quarrel with someone, to re-engage with hope, to engage in vulnerability in situations where you feel yourself shutting down. And it is the quickest way to forgiveness. You
wow.
can't forgive without gratitude, and forgiveness is what is lacking most in the world right now. And I think that's why everybody's has this global anxiety going on. So gratitude, that's my advice.
So I think if people want to be getting more into a habit of gratitude, I have to tell you that something that really worked for me, and that you just made me think of it, so I thought I'd share it. I don't remember where I learned about it. I think I wanted to journal. I wanted to learn to journal more. And
Mhm.
so I had heard about that book. Literally, you buy the book. It's called The 5 Minute Journal. But it's really all
Perfect.
about gratitude.
Yeah.
And then it's almost a little addicting, because if you miss a few days or you go, you come back and you're like,
Yeah.
I find myself going, I got to get that back in my life.
Yeah.
And that's
I do it
been
every
years now.
morning. First thing I do when my eyes wake up. And
What do
and,
you do?
and
What's your
it's
habit?
stupid stuff like thank you for my socks. Thank you
Yeah.
for my sheets. I mean, ridiculous things like thank you for my morning coffee. Like I just lay there and I mean, it can be as mundane and profound or as simple,
Well,
you
it's just
know,
a frequency. And I love how you just simplified it. I think we try to complicate it. I'd probably
completely.
raise my hand right there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, it is. It's a game changer. I know that can be really hard for people to understand, but just trust me, it's a game changer.
So do it
It's
all day, every day. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah.
By the way, this is coming to mind, so I'm going to talk about this. So I feel like after 23 plus years of practice, that what I'm going to say has some validity. I find that the particular humans walking the planet that are the least ill, the least symptomatic, I don't know how else to put it. I'm just trying to make a global statement. It's not about pain. It's not about all these different things. Is they are just happy.
Yeah.
They're just happy.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn until I was in my 40s about how different emotions have different frequencies, and those frequencies affect our body and they can be read.
Mhm.
I think it's like 6 feet from our bodies. So it's all, the science is incredible. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
you know, all those guys that are putting their own money into the study is huge. And I think that's what allows for us to have these conversations that you and I are having, where
Mhm.
people just are looking for this. Like you said, that piece that what am I missing? I'm missing that connection. And so that comes in so many different wavelengths. So
Yeah, no,
I
it's
don't know
amazing.
really where I was going with that, but those were popping into my mind about the happiness. And I feel like the gratitude
Yeah.
just ties right into that. I
Well, I
feel like,
mean, of course, and you know better than anyone because I say to all my clients, the portal to energetic resonance is the body. Has nothing to do with weight, has nothing, it's about
say it
alignment.
again. You got to say that again. The portal
The
to what?
portal to energetic resonance, where you feel better, you feel whole, if you will, as
Like
whole
a
as we can.
homeostasis or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the body. Because when we have, like you were just saying, when when we're well, again, it's not about weight or anything like that. It's about wellness, vitality, alignment, and everything within our body. And that then opens up the ability for us to feel good about ourselves, which then allows for emotional forgiveness and more gentleness in the emotional sector, easing of those negative thoughts in our mind. And then all of a sudden your intuition starts to kick in and you're like, wow, this is super cool.
This is super, super cool. I
Yeah.
cannot wait. I just know, I just have this feeling this is going to be shared, and I hope people comment and reach out to you. You know, I'm super excited about where we've gone with this interview that we just kind of winged today.
I love that. Thank you
So
for having me. It's such an
you are
honor.
so welcome. You're not allowed to go yet. I have one last question.
Yes, darling.
I like to end my interviews like this. And if I ever forget, I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask this question. I'm not forgetting anymore. What is one thing that most people, maybe the people even closest to you, don't know about you? A fun fact, a quirkiness, just that most people just have no idea about Miss Kelly
A
here.
massive, massive science fiction fan and superhero fan. You give me Star Wars or a Marvel movie, and I am over the moon happy. I can't have enough of it.
What was that, your phone?
No, it's my son coming home. School's out. Yeah, so that's a secret pleasure. Yeah, massive,
Okay.
massive superhero fan.
You're right. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah,
That was awesome. That was so awesome.
I love it.
Okay, everybody. Like I said, any way that she wants you to be able to find her, I will make sure she sends me those links and they will be in the description. Again, I just ask that you please like and share. And I cannot wait for you to be back on where we get to do this again.
I can't wait. Thank you, Kristin.
You are so welcome. Totally my pleasure. Thank you.